Works still here. I'm going to do a tutorial AP of Flashpoint. This is a head-to-head and solo basketball dice game. All right, so that being said, you can make teams. You can use teams to the back of the book, run tournaments, whatever your cup of tea. You can do it. And I'm going to give a little tutorial about how to set up the teams, how to create teams. There are pre-mades already in the back of the book, but how to make teams if you want to make them, and how to play the game. All right, probably get enough to where we can actually start and play through a game. But anyway, I won't belabor a point. This game uses a single D6 for a team and another D6 for the other team, and there'll be a roll-off and compare. But to make the teams are built on, there's 6 sides of a dice, and for the purposes of the game, there are 5 on-court positions and the bench. So the bench starts with 1, and 2 for the center, power forward is 3, small forward 4, shooting guard 5, and point guard 6. Right? So when you're playing and rolling, if the values come up, it'll designate which position is basically being highlighted as far as in play, as far as the point maker, the playmaker. Okay, so the points will be attributed to them. In effect. All right, so we start here. We're going to make a team. Now you can name the people on your team, obviously. Pre-mades already have their names on the positions for each team. But here we're gonna make the team. I'm gonna bother to make the names of the individuals, but you're more welcome to. But how we do this, we start at the top. You start with the bench and you roll for each all the way down. Now you're rolling for each position. Right here it says use this chart. 1, 2, 3 is a roll. Just means that they're the center, or that's the value. 1, 2, 3. Now 4, 4 or 5 is a star. They're that position. They're a star player. All right, more so than just playing the role. If you roll a 6, superstar. The trick is when you're rolling, and if I want to roll, there can only be 2 stars on a team and 1 superstar, max. So everything else defaults to a roll. So if I'm rolling for each one, and I'll go ahead and do it here. So the bench will start with this team, and we'll call them Wycliffe, Nets. Okay, we're going to roll up the Wycliffe Nets. Start with the bench. 1. Okay, he's a roll. I'm just going to put a little R here to designate he's a roll. What this means is there's a little tracking box for heat over here, 6 boxes. On the 3rd time, they will escalate to heat 1 as far as the ticks that are required, and I'll explain that. But whenever they get the 3rd tick, they'll turn into heat 1, and this can have an effect when you're playing compared to who else you're playing against or who else the other team has on deck as far as their highlighted character. But they are a roll. Let's go to the center. 2, they're a roll as well. All right, power forward. 4. Now, this is a star. Now, I could re-roll. You have the option of re-rolling your stars or superstars. 1 re-roll. All right, so either you may want to elevate them, if you may want to take a chance and make them a superstar if they're a star, or you may just want them to be a roll, But the second, a roll so So you may want to hold off the superstars till later on. But right now, I'm going to take him right where he is. Right. So if that situation occurs, you do have the option of rolling again. All right. But only one roll. And then you have to take the second roll. So you default the first roll and then take the second. So we got a small forward. Let's roll him. 6. Okay, this is a superstar. So I can either take him. There can only be one superstar. So I'm going to go ahead and take him as a superstar. I could roll it again, open, I'd get a 6 later on. But I can only have one. But I'm going to take him as a superstar here. Okay. And what I hadn't been doing is letting you know what each of these mean. So this is a roll. They're going to trigger it. The third heat tracker, they're going to get heat 1. Now, for a star, it's the same thing. Heat 1 right here. And then on the 5th, they're going to get heat 2. 1, 1, and 2. All right, and a superstar, they trigger the heat 1 on the second tick. And then on the 4th, trigger heat 2. So they'll get there quicker, sooner, faster, more. Let's go for the shooting guard. 6, look at there. Now it could have been but I can't, I can't take him that way. So I've got to, got to roll again on this, or take a star. Okay. I'm going to roll again. 2 is a roll. We'll go for the point guard. 4, he's a star. All right, this team's pretty packed here. Roll right here, and then the star. Right there. All right, so that's where they trigger for each of them. Really stacked team of two stars and one superstar. All right, now let's go for the next one. The Cayman Commanders. All right, so that's what we got there. Let's roll them. A little quicker here. The bench is a 4. It's a star. But do we really want it? I'm gonna hold off. Try to roll it again. It's a 1. I could have been stuck with a star there, but take a roll. Leaves my stars and superstars up until later if I can actually grab them. Another roll. Got to take it. Center's a roll, and these are each triggering on 3. You can only ever get the heat 1. 5. Okay, perfect. Star. I'm going to keep him right there. He triggers on 3, and then heat 2 on 5. All right, so let's go for the small forward. 3. It's got to be a roll. Oh, let's see what's up. 4. Okay, he's a star. I'm gonna go ahead and keep it. I ain't gonna chance it again. Star. And then point guard to a roll. All right, roll. Roll. All right, that's what we're looking for between all these teams. So what I'm going to do now is stop it, and then I'll do another video showing the actual gameplay and how that resolves. I will say that in preparation for that, when you're playing, if you will do a sample roll, Nets are white, Commanders are the blue. Okay. So when you're rolling, the higher of the 2 is considered the attacker, and the lower of the 2 is considered the defender. Now what you're doing is you're taking, now the attacker gets 5 points. They both get the margin between the two, plus their value. So the margin between these is 3. So they get 8 points. It would be 8 points for the Nets. And the Commanders would get 5 points during that segment. And there's 5 segments per quarter. The 5 here, the Nets would have been, the shooting guard would have been primarily the person doing the points and, whatnot. Now, the Commanders, the center would have been the main one in play, the one being focused on as far as doing the points here. So you get 5, or let's say he would have had 2 points and then 3 was for the last, but he had the majority of them. Now, what we do here in that instance is compare them, and if there's a margin, if there's a tie, they just get the value, obviously. But if there's a margin, the one that's the attacker, you compare their current heat levels, which if they're 0 or 1 or 2, 1 or 2, depending on the tick, or 0. If one of them has heat more so than the other, this is how the defender can win over him as far as being highlighted. Or in this instance, the attacker would have, since they're both 0 and is starting out, they both have 0 heat, but the attacker has optimal in that. So the attacker, pointing guard, would get 1 tick off his box. By that 3 time, he's adding 1 heat, essentially 1 point for any future points he makes past that. That's how it works. Anyway, you'll see it in the gameplay. I'm going to stop this, upload it, and then we'll go to the game. All right. See you there.